Ruth Edwards.
Today's debate is less about fracking and more about the Labour Party's next social media campaign.
Exactly.
For if they had wanted to show the true strength of the House's opinion on fracking, they could have tabled a normal motion today calling for the moratorium to be reintroduced. At a later stage, they could have amended a bill going through Parliament. Either of those routes, they had a reasonable chance of carrying many colleagues on this side of the House with them. But instead, they have chosen the one route that they know no member on this side of this House could possibly support: a confidence vote. Now, I don't support fracking, Madam Deputy Speaker, but I am even less keen on the idea of letting the Labour Party play at being in government for the day, because I remember what happened when they were there last time. My views on most things are no secret, and certainly not on fracking. Now, I don't buy the argument it's less environmentally friendly. Gas is gas, whether it's drilled here or overseas, and the carbon footprint of gas produced in the UK is smaller than LNG shipped in from abroad. I'm also not convinced by the argument it's unsafe, but I do think it's unsuitable in a country like the UK, where we have a high population density, especially given that even relatively small tremors can be felt by the local community. And as the British Geological Survey, which has its HQ in Rushcliffe, has said, our ability to predict such tremors has not improved since the moratorium was put in place. But my main objection to fracking is that after all the division and local anguish it causes, even the industry itself estimates it will produce very little gas. We would be better off focused on increasing the output from our North Sea industry, renewables and nuclear. I am relieved that we will have a binding vote on the process for gaining local consent. This is vital. Communities must know they have a legally enforceable route to either accept or reject fracking under their homes. And my final observation tonight, Madam Deputy Speaker, is for our own front bench. For they have enabled the opposition to force colleagues to choose between voting against our manifesto and voting to lose the whip. They should take a look at the faces of colleagues behind them, colleagues who have fracking sites in their constituencies, and they should hang their heads in shame. A Conservative government will always have my confidence, Madam Deputy Speaker, but its leadership today has severely tested my trust and the trust of many colleagues, and I would advise them not to do so again.
Kerry McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Today we've heard from colleagues across the House making clear their opposition to fracking. It was particularly powerful hearing from MPs from the Lancashire area, which has already been affected by the seismic shocks of previous drilling, and their constituents live in fear of that happening again. Fracking is dangerous, polluting, and will not provide energy security for this country, and it is deeply unpopular. The government finally seemed to get that in 2019 with its manifesto commitment to a fracking ban, and as it's been said, everyone on that side of the House stood on that manifesto and made that promise to their constituents. Yet it's only taken a matter of days for this new administration to bring fracking back. And not through a vote or a consultation or a debate in this House. It was a decision taken just by the Secretary of State alone, who's not even turned up to hear the winding up speeches. No scrutiny, the Secretary of State, no scrutiny and no accountability. Oh, sorry, I didn't see him there. Their manifesto promised the ban on fracking would remain in place until evidence categorically proved it was safe. But the recent report from the British Geological Survey commissioned by the government has offered no new evidence whatsoever to suggest the situation has changed. As the Honourable Member for Fylde said, the geology hasn't changed. How could it? The science hasn't changed either. So what did the Secretary of State do when he couldn't find the evidence he wanted? He decided to change the rules on how big an earthquake can be considered safe. I would laugh, Madam Deputy Speaker, but there's nothing funny about this. Labour has been absolutely clear that we will always oppose fracking, whether in opposition or in government. And I'm proud that the Labour government in Wales is keeping the ban. And let us not forget, Madam Deputy Speaker, that this reckless decision comes in the middle of a climate emergency. At COP26, this government made a commitment on the world stage to prioritise the clean energy transition and end public support for the fossil fuel sector by the end of 2022. So how's that going? A year on, and they're not just bringing back fracking for gas, they're also issuing hundreds of new licences for fossil fuel extraction. No wonder the Prime Minister is trying to wriggle out of attending COP in Egypt next month. Let's call this what it is. It's climate vandalism. The decisions of this government are undermining our climate targets and trashing our reputation on the global stage. As the Honourable Member for West Ham said, it's taken a wrecking ball to years of patient climate diplomacy, and I'm sure the COP President would have something to say about that. The Minister for Climate Change, who's replying to the debate today, may be willing to swallow his pride and to claim that fracking is green in exchange for a seat down the far end of the cabinet table. But on this side of the House, we will be honest about fossil fuels. They are expensive, they're polluting our air, and they're destroying our planet. As my right honourable friend, the member for Doncaster North, made clear earlier, the only solution to the energy crisis is a green one. Madam Deputy Speaker, removing a ban on fracking shows that we cannot trust a Tory promise, even if it was embedded in their manifesto. So how can we trust what is being said today about ensuring local consent? And let's be clear, the amendment doesn't say there will be a veto, it doesn't explain how that consent would be obtained, it's very weak on the detail, and it doesn't promise a binding vote on this House on what that consent would look like. And as my right honourable friend, the member for Leeds Central, said, why do we even need to do this? We know that polling, the government's own polling, shows that only 17% of people support fracking. And I would imagine a large proportion of those that will say, but not in my backyard. We're quite happy for it to, I think a Lords Minister once said, in the desolate north, that's where you would frack. I'm sure that the government committing to a ban on fracking today and committing to bringing forward their own bill if they don't want Labour to put the seize control of the order paper would come as a great relief to many of the government's own MPs. Our message to colleagues on the opposite benches is this. Fracking is not necessary, it is not wanted, and it is not inevitable. Each of you there today on the opposition benches have a chance to, on the opposite benches, I should say, have a chance to, yeah, I'm forward thinking on my part. Each of you have a chance today to ensure the voices of your constituents are heard and that our planet is protected. If you support our motion today, we will secure a binding vote on a bill to ban fracking on the 29th of November, in the absence of any willingness from the government to bring that forward itself. You will all have the opportunity to ban fracking before a single drill starts up in your constituencies. You know that's what your constituents want you to do.
That's your only problem, is it?
They know that there's no excuse for doing it. So do the right thing and support the Labour motion today.
Minister Graham Stuart.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and it's a great pleasure to wind up this debate, which has had so many excellent contributions from across the House. And it perhaps is not for the first time that the Right Honourable Gentleman for Doncaster North, who is an extremely clever man, whom I have a great deal of respect, has been a little bit too clever by half. And perhaps if more drafting had gone into this, then instead of seizing the order paper, we could have had a different style, an attempt to seize the order paper. Because quite clearly, Madam Deputy Speaker, this is not a confidence vote, but it is an attempt by Her Majesty's. It is obviously, Madam Deputy Speaker, this is not a confidence vote. What it is an attempt. What it is an attempt. Let me try.
Order, come on, let's listen to the Minister. And that means be quiet up there as well. That means be quiet up there as well. Order. Minister.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. But this attempt, I won't give away. The Right Honourable. Madam Deputy Speaker, the Right Honourable Gentleman is getting overexcited. He described himself as a nerd, and of course accurately. Perhaps he should have spent more time looking at parliamentary procedure. Madam Deputy Speaker, I am proud to say that this government has led the way in reducing emissions and moving towards net zero. When the Right Honourable Gentleman was in power, Madam Deputy Speaker, when he left power in 2010, not only was there that note that said there was no money left, fewer than 7% of our electricity, around 6.8%, came from renewables. It is this party on this side of the House which has delivered the Green Revolution, will continue to deliver the Green Revolution, and means that more than 40%, Madam Deputy Speaker, are they allowed to maintain this ridiculous stuff? It's bad enough for...
Order, Mr. Davis. We are having a debate. If everybody shouts at one another, we can't have a debate. Minister.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And it's brought calm to the other side of the House to point out that, as I say, electricity 7% when they left power, more than 40% today. If you look at energy efficiency and you look at people struggling to heat their homes today, houses that were EPC C and above, what was the percentage? The Honourable Gentleman wants to tell me from a sedentary position. What percentage was it when Labour left power? I'll tell you, it was 14%. What is it today? 46%. It is this party which is moving this country towards net zero, and not only doing it at home, but leading internationally as well, by happily to give way to my own...
I thank the Minister for giving way. He's absolutely right about the Green Revolution, which our region in the Humber is playing such a big part of. But can I ask him to reflect on the speeches of today? Because if this was a clear vote on whether we have fracking or not, I would be in the opposite lobby with the opposition. I will stick on any binding vote to my manifesto and election commitment to oppose fracking, absolutely. So can he reflect on that? And can I urge him to continue with the vein he was going down, which is how much we should be investing in green energy?
Well, I'm grateful to my honourable friend, and of course we are investing. We have, near both of our constituencies, seen the transformation. If I may just at least answer this without being permanently harassed by the Right Honourable Gentleman, who should learn to sit. I can tell to my Right Honourable friend, he has seen the transformation of the whole economics of offshore wind. He has seen this government put in place the CFDs, which are now being copied all around the way. Madam Deputy Speaker, I feel if I don't give way to the Right Honourable Gentleman, he may suffer some serious medical emergency.
Now, Mr. Speaker, Madam Deputy Speaker, for the guidance of the House, the Minister said something very important from the dispatch box. He said this is not a confidence motion. And I think his members will want to know that. If he confirms that, then members opposite can vote for our motion in the safe knowledge that they can be confident in the current Prime Minister. So can you just confirm that?
Well, the Right Honourable Gentleman was so excited in order to repeat something which I'd already said multiple times. Colleagues on this side of the House are perfectly clear. They are not going to surrender, and they're not going to allow the Labour Party to be a government for a day by seizing control of the order paper. So, we will continue.
Point of order. Better be a point of order.
I think it is, Madam Deputy Speaker. It's really important that members know what they are voting on.
Members know what they're voting on. Minister.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. We will continue to lead the world and drive forward offshore and onshore wind, solar energy, and we will do SMRs and gigawatt level nuclear, as well as support for AMRs, and we will come forward. Madam Deputy Speaker, with proposals to support hydrogen and CCUS. We are looking all across the piece to drive the green revolution. But as part of that, Madam Deputy Speaker, as part of that work, we also need to ensure the gas and oil that we rely on at the moment as we manage and drive down our usage on the path to net zero. Did the Honourable Lady?
Wait, I thank the Honourable Gentleman for giving way. I really do need to press him on this issue of a confidence vote, because many of us have been told today by our whips that if we vote or abstain from voting against this motion, we will lose the whip. So could he please confirm whether that is the case or not?
I thank the Honourable...
We have to hear the answer. Minister.
I thank the honourable lady for that question, and that is a matter for party managers, and I'm not a party manager. Madam Deputy Speaker, community support is so important, and that is why we have, as we've heard from the Secretary of State today, pledged to colleagues to ensure that that community support, there will be that community veto that we've heard so much about from colleagues from East Sussex, North Dorset, Bognor Regis and Littlehampton, South West Bedfordshire, Taunton Deane, Winchester, East Yorkshire, my neighbour, Gloucester, Bolsover, Scarborough and Whitby, up the coast from me, South Thanet, Worcester, Gloucester, Rother Valley, North Dorset, Ashfield, Rushcliffe, Blackpool South and Lee. And it's interesting to see the Liberal Democrat on his feet, who in his speech, Madam Deputy Speaker, suggested not a drop more of gas or oil should come out of the ground, forgetting that 75% of our energy needs today come from fossil fuels. It is this government which is leading the green transformation to take us away from it. It is this government which is driving forward net zero, not only here, but equally importantly, all around the world. And it is, of course, my colleague who has been president of COP26, who has moved the world from having just 30% of global GDP covered by net zero pledges, 30% in 2019, to more than 90% today. It is that transformation of the global position on the pathway to net zero that has been a critical path, as well as leading the development of net zero at home. That is why we will continue to make sure that we develop, and that's why we are issuing licenses or issuing blocks in the North Sea, so that we can produce domestic oil and gas as we manage that pathway down. We will manage it down.
The question is that the question